if you could go do another career, what would it be? Because I think we think that that's off limits for us. Like, oh, if I wanted to switch careers now, I'm 30, I'm 40, I can't do it. But we're examples of learning a whole new industry without college education, without training, and being very successful at it. And you can do that too.
All right, what is up, and welcome to How to Invest in Commercial Real Estate. We're back.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Too long, man.
People are getting busy, man. Summertime, running out of topics to talk about, all of it.
I know. I've had so many people contact me and say, where's that next podcast?
Yeah, they're just blowing up your phone.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, like 3 people called him.
Well, we have been busy, nevertheless.
Yeah, we're buying stuff.
Buying all kinds of stuff. We just closed on a big deal out in St. Louis. Super excited about that. Right next to a Target. It's got a little 2-tenant out parcel in there with a Panda Express and a Chipotle.
Yep.
So our plan is to parcel that off and sell that. We think we're going to get some immediate arbitrage there just in the value of it separated off from the rest of the big box retail. And then we've got another 80,000 square feet of big box retail back there. And it should be a great long-term cash flowing investment.
Yeah, closed on that last week. And then we've got another deal closing in Amarillo, I think around July 10th.
Yep, here in a couple weeks.
So super excited about that. And then after that, we've got a pretty good sized deal down in Houston.
Yeah, actually, we're a week into due diligence on that one. It is a grocery anchored center in Houston, like you said.
14 million-ish.
Yep.
So St. Louis was almost 11. Amarillo is going to be like 5.
I think 4, maybe.
4.
Amarillo is kind of a piece of shit.
But it's close to $30 million in 2 or 3 months.
Let me clarify. Amarillo is a piece of shit.
So everybody needs to invest in Amarillo.
Dude, I'm just saying. I mean, Amarillo is kind of like
it's a
smaller side
of cash flowing gem.
There we go. It's one of those.
Yeah,
one of those.
Value add.
It is a value add. I mean, it's an older center. It's a little bit of a workforce area of town. Owners haven't taken care of it, but we're getting it at the right price. There's room to raise rents. We're going to be fixing the roof. We're going to be fixing parking lot. We're going to make this thing into a nice center.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that article I read from CoStar. National average occupancy of neighborhood retail shopping centers is 95%.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
that's good for us.
Yeah, being able to go into a retail market, right, where there's good, healthy occupancy, there's good, thriving business, and you can go in and pick up a shopping center at, I think like $50 or $60 per square foot is our basis in this, when the cost to develop is hundreds of dollars per square foot. So developers just aren't bringing the retail to market, and there's still a massive demand, which is a really great sign.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of strip shopping centers being built around the country right now, right?
We're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing a few, not a ton, but anyway, so we had a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know, today, what are we talking about, Brian?
Well, today we thought we might talk about how knowledge can combat fear. And obviously we're going to talk about how it's the fear of jumping into commercial real estate, how knowledge can help that.
Yeah, when we think about topics for the show, we're always trying to think about what an average listener that doesn't know anything about commercial real estate is thinking about getting in. And what we hear more often than not is, man, I'd love to get into real estate. I'd love to get into commercial real estate. It just seems scary to me. I just don't know that much about it. And today we want to kind of dig into that. And like you say, the topic is knowledge combats fear. It's something I've been saying for a long time. Fear is part of the equation in commercial real estate and starting your own business and putting money into any investment, right? There's going to be some element of fear. But we've talked about it a little bit before. How do you combat that fear? And experience and knowledge are how you combat it. And if you can get comfortable with the risks and the unknown, right, it gives you just enough courage to follow through with getting into the game. And so I think what we were going to talk about today, though, is why is it that so many adults kind of have this negative, place this negative value on learning something new?
Well, I think a lot of times it comes down to they think, well, I don't have a lot of time, right? So I'm not going to get started. Commercial real estate is complicated. I think a lot of people, if they can just sit in front of their computer and read one article on a certain topic, they're like, oh, I've got 30 minutes or an hour to learn on, to teach myself this. But it's sort of a dedication if you want to learn commercial real estate. I think people know it, but it's not that difficult, right?
Yeah, I think learning has a negative connotation because people don't associate it to how broad of a term it actually is, right? And when I think about learning, I think people's most learning that they do through the graduate school is a hobby, right? Oh, that like right now I'm really into wake surfing behind a wake boat on a lake. So I'm learning how to do that through doing it. I'm learning how to do it through watching YouTube videos, through watching my friends do it, through like it's the process of learning. So for me personally, it's super easy to learn things that I'm interested in doing. So that's a great step, right? Like find something you're interested in, then it's less like learning or what you think of as learning, even though it's still learning.
Yeah, your example is not too much different than what we tell people in real estate is jump in. Now you got to get some knowledge first, and we've kind of had episodes on that, but just jump in and do it.
Well, I'd like to add this kind of unique idea that I think a lot of adults maybe struggle with, or even subconsciously struggle with, is they have such a negative pain point with learning new things. And I think it kind of goes back to the first 18, 22 years of our lives, where you're in high school, you're in college, and I don't know about the rest of you guys. I was an engineering major, but you just pummel students. Right, we're learning so much in such a short amount of time that it's a burden.
Yeah,
I'm trying to learn, let's say, calculus, and I've got to do it in 4 months and one semester, and then I got to go on to calculus 2, and then I got to go on to calculus 3. And so, that's the problem with learning, is that we associate it with, well, I take 6 courses of subjects that I really don't have any interest in learning. And I gotta learn all there is to know about that, or most of it, in this 4 or 5 month window of the semester. You're staying up all night, you're cramming for tests. And so we associate this learning engineering or learning, whatever your degree is, accounting, business, with these negative emotions and all this negative stuff. So then when we get our job as an adult, we kind of just, oh man, fuck, I can relax. Yeah. I'm going to learn my job, but I'm not going to spend every night till 2 a.m. learning. Yeah. I'm just taking a break. But the problem is a lot of us never pick it back up. And then when you're presented with like commercial real estate or whatever else, I think a lot of people think, oh man, it's too complicated. It's too much, because we're associating it with having to like learning stuff in college. And the great thing about it as an adult is you have way more than 4 months to learn whatever it is you want to know. Right? You can take 3 years. Okay. You can do it on your own time. You can do it casually. You can pick subjects that you're interested in. You can pick media that you're interested in. Instead of reading a textbook, you can watch YouTube videos. You can talk to experts. There's all these ways that we can learn. And I find, I learned a whole new industry, commercial real estate, on the side. But that's because I got onto this concept that I can learn a little bit every day in something I'm interested in. And years go by, and slowly I become an expert in something that I had no training in. And so anyway, you guys have any thoughts on that kind of concept?
Yeah, I mean, learning for most people is painful, right? They associate it to a waste of their time. I mean, I remember sitting in algebra thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm never going to use this," or calculus. I mean, there's a lot to that, because it was kind of forced upon you. College isn't necessarily forced upon you, except by social, peer pressure, I guess, or your ability to want to succeed. Or nobody goes to college because they're like, "Oh man, I'm so excited to go into calculus." Typically, it's later on in their major, and then when you are doing that, you're envisioning that career, and that career is, a whole life, right? It's a home, it's a financial future. You're envisioning all of that, so it makes it more tolerable. And I think that's what it is for me in commercial real estate, right? Like securing my financial future and securing my wealth and being able to do whatever I want with my family, hopefully when I want to do it, and be able to provide for them, is a hobby. So I enjoy doing things that add to that story, that add to that, mental picture in my life. So yeah, nobody's asking you to go learn calculus. That would suck. I wouldn't want to do that. Nobody really wants to do that, but you've got to find some sort of purpose. I've explained mine, and then just go through it. And then the other really important thing for me is to not get stuck in the learning phase. And I think a lot on this show, we're talking about actions we're taking and how to get in, and maybe we're not so focused on the learning. Learning is super important, but you have to learn how to learn while taking actions. You can't just be stuck in this phase of not doing anything and trying to become an expert and know everything, because you're not. You're not going to know everything. You're not going to become an expert without actually doing it. So you've got to find people that you can go into business with where they know you're learning and they're willing and eager to teach you, right? Probably because they're making more money than you on the same deal. And you're just, how are we doing this? Why are we doing that way? You're just trying to stay informed, but really you're learning, right? And then eventually you may be able to add more value to the next deal. So you're getting more ownership. You're getting a bigger fee. You're doing property management and leasing, or you're finding it, or you found the lender, right? All of these things are helping add more value, but you've got to be, at some point you've got to dive in, right? And we always talk about that.
Yeah. It's a good point. You got to find the balance between when you think you have enough knowledge and when you want to jump in. And we've always talked about, well, jumping in doesn't have to be all by yourself, right? You've got a team. Sure. You can contact us. You can get partners. But that's a good point, Braden. You got to, there's a balance between learning and doing. And you're going to continue to learn, like you said.
So I got an idea here that I'll try to articulate. You have people that are sitting around and they're saying, man, I'd love to do commercial real estate. Looks like super lucrative, but man, it's too hard. It's too much. I want to remind everybody that went to college that you paid probably $100,000 for that degree. Yeah. And you studied full time for 4 years to get the job that you have. And let's just say that job is accounting and you're making $90,000 a year. Okay. I don't know. We're just guessing. You paid $100,000 or even more, and you studied full time for 4 years to get a $90,000 a year job or $100,000 a year job.
Yes, that first year maybe covers your education.
And so when we think about trying to encourage people to learn the real estate game, it's going to be way more lucrative. Okay, but is it going to take time? Yeah, but it's not even going to take 4 years full time, and the learning doesn't even have to cost you anything.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it may cost you. I've paid for some of my mistakes, but it doesn't have to cost you anything. Most of the information out there is free or in books that cost $19.95, and it won't take you 4 years. And at the end of it, right, you may be making $100,000 a year in real estate passively. Yeah. And so that's what we want to encourage people is like you were saying, you have a vision, you have a reason, you have a why, what's motivating you. But if you can get a hold of what commercial real estate can do for you, the amount of money and freedom that it can give you, then you're going to say, okay, I can dedicate 5 hours a week to this, 30 minutes a day. And over time, if you commit 30 minutes a day to anything, in 2 years, you're going to be totally proficient in it.
Guys, it's okay to be dumb. Like, it's okay to be dumb. You just can't be dumb and proud, right? So let's dive into that, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not an attorney. I'm dumb when it comes to legal stuff. I'm getting better, right? Because I read a lot of contracts. I read a lot of contracts. And sometimes I want to bang my head up against the wall, but we're not going to get into that. What we're going to focus on is me being dumb in that area. And I kind of stay up at night. We raised a lot of money. I've probably personally guaranteed close to $100 million worth of debt. It's a big number. So we signed a lot of documents, and I couldn't do that without our attorney. Yep. So we hire amazing attorneys. There's multiple of them. They look and touch and do everything we sign and raise and file. So it's done right. So we don't have to be attorneys. So we don't have to go to law school.
We don't have to.
So we don't have to be experts in it, right? Yeah. Like anything. So
accounting, don't have to do that. We have those people.
Yeah, we file taxes. I'm not a CPA. There's no part of me that wants to be a CPA. I can promise you, there's no part of you that wants to be a CPA. Just knowing you, Brian's basically a rocket scientist. I could see him.
I could be a CPA.
Yeah, you kind of look like a CPA. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
Anyway,
is that a compliment?
You've got to be able to hire out what you're not comfortable with. And before you can do that, you've got to be able to say you're not comfortable with it. You've got to be able to say, hey, this is over my head. I need to ask for advice. You can email and call us, but eventually you're going to have something that's over your head and you're going to have to go in and say, hey, I don't know how this works, right? Like it could be a lender. Hey, I'm looking to buy this $5 million shopping center. I know I don't have to buy this thing in cash. What does a loan look like? Right? Do that 5 times. You're going to learn way more about commercial real estate lending from those 5 lenders telling you what they need. And your mind's going to be blown. It's going to teach you more than any book on commercial real estate lending ever could. I promise you that. And you're going to feel like an idiot.
It might be smart if someone's thinking about it again. It might be smart to go back and watch our episode on partnerships. Remember when we said here's the team you need, or the team concept, right?
Yeah.
So go back, listen to the team that we've assembled, and then go you got to learn the other stuff. But there's a bunch of stuff you don't have to learn that we're outsourcing. So you can figure out exactly what it is you need to learn to start taking those first steps.
And, it doesn't have to be commercial real estate, okay? Hopefully this episode, while we're talking about it, it gets you interested. What is it that you want out of this life? What is it? What if you could go do another career, what would it be? Because I think we think that that's off limits for us. Like, oh, if I wanted to switch careers now, I'm 30, I'm 40, I can't do it. But, we're examples of learning a whole new industry without college education, without training, and being very successful at it. And you can do that too, but it has to start with daily discipline, a little bit a day, forcing yourself to learn. But I promise you, it's not like that learning you did in college where you're trying to learn a hard subject in a matter of weeks or months, along with 6 other hard subjects that you don't even like. This is something that if you find a passion and you decide what you want out of life, you can do it. You can go get it. And hopefully it encourages you just to start taking those steps. And yeah, you're not going to do it overnight, but 3-4 years from now, with some dedication, you could be doing anything you want to be doing. Doesn't have to be commercial real estate. So
questions get answered, right? Whether it's from other people or yourself, your mind will go to work answering your own questions. So I would just challenge you to continue humbly asking questions that you're interested in, right? And other people will answer them. If you ask them, you will try to find the answers yourself. Like I was saying, you have to be able to willingly go out and say, hey, I'm interested in commercial real estate. How do I do this? How would I buy a shopping center like this? And talk to a bunch of people about it, and you'll learn. It's super easy.
So I'm going to leave you with a thought, and it's incorporated into something else I've been working on. But you can have exactly what you want out of this life, not what others tell you can have. So just let that sink in. Start thinking about life on your terms. What do I want out of this life, and not what other people tell me I can have. And just go for it, man, because life's too short to be doing things you don't want to do. And I know we push commercial real estate because it's given us freedom, but it can be anything that you can put your mind to. So
I think it's a famous Will Smith quote that people spend money they don't have to impress people they don't like or
don't know. Or
yeah, they don't know and don't like. It's just funny. Anyway, we actually are shooting another podcast tomorrow. So we will be back next week with another super exciting interview with Kmart.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya.